tragic discovery in Fort Lauderdale over the weekend. The bodies of a father and his 4-year-old son found inside an apartment. The family says it was a murder-suicide, and the little boy's mother said she tried everything but that the system failed her son.
For lunchy. What? What? You want lunchy? You want me to open the door? You want some lunchy?
Have you ever had one of those dreams, a nightmare really, where you're trying to run to something, but you can only run in slow motion? Or you're trying to scream, but no one can hear you? You wake up suddenly in a daze, wondering if it's real, and slowly realize it was all a dream. For Alison Kessler, May 19th, 2021 was just like that. She was screaming for someone to help her protect her 4-year-old son, Grayson, but no one would hear her. She was trying desperately to run to him, but no one would let her near him. The events that unfolded 2 days later would change her life forever. A mother's worst nightmare would become her reality. Grayson Martin Kessler, affectionately known as Giggs, was a beautiful blonde-haired boy, beaming with life and a joy to be around. He was born December 6th, 2016, and according to his mother, Alison, he had the biggest imagination. He loved water slides, dancing, and would make everyone laugh.
Okay, sing along.
Mommy!
Round and round. Come on, sing. Up and down. Yeah, what's next?
Mommy!
What? What did the driver on the bus say? What happened? Where are you going? Wait.
Mommy!
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
Mercy.
Yeah?
Oh.
Oh.
Bye.
Uh,
Bye.
who you talking to? Can I talk? All right, who is this? Who's on the phone? Hello? Is this Ty? Who am I talking to, Gigs? Who's on the phone?
Unfortunately, Grayson's sick and twisted father would violently take Grayson out of this world to hurt Alison in the worst way imaginable. According to an article by the Washington Post published in 1999, at 21 years old, John Stacy was living in a van selling enough flowers and wind chimes to make $500 a day for the Reverend Sun Myung Moon's Unification Church. The Moonies, as they have been called, is a religious movement founded in South Korea in the 1950s. The group gained attention for its unconventional beliefs and practices, including the mass wedding ceremonies, where thousands of couples are married simultaneously. These were arranged marriages. The couplings were chosen by Moon himself. Followers believe in the divine mission of Sun Moon as the Messiah and seek to establish world peace through their teachings. The Moonies' communal living arrangements and strict hierarchical structure also set them apart from mainstream society, leading to both fascination and controversy during the 60s and 70s. Former members have reported instances of psychological and emotional abuse, including isolation from friends and family, pressure to conform to strict beliefs, and control over personal choices. Additionally, there have been allegations of financial exploitation, forced labor, and manipulation tactics aimed at maintaining control over members. John was recruited at the age of 18 on a New York City sidewalk and soon found himself working 20-hour days raising money for the group. Soon after, the leaders of his fundraising team approached him and suggested it was time for him to marry. A Japanese stranger named Uzuki was chosen for his bride, and they were married in 1995 on the field of the Olympic Stadium in Seoul, South Korea. They were surrounded by thousands of other arranged couples. John later became convinced he was trapped in a cult and left when he was 23. He left his wife behind, leaving her a letter of apology. According to Alison, John never sought professional help after leaving the cult and suffered from PTSD because of it, and also had a previous unaliving attempt. Much about John's life after the Moonies and prior to meeting Alison is unknown. His LinkedIn profile states he worked as a business consultant specializing in resource planning. Before his death, he had been employed as a project manager with Providge Consulting and living in a luxury condominium complex called Las Olas by the river. Sometime in late 2015 or early 2016, Alison met John on a dating app in New York City. It's unclear how many dates they went on, but it never turned into a relationship. But Alison did end up pregnant. According to court documents, Grayson was conceived in New York, and upon finding out about the pregnancy, John disclaimed any desire to be involved in Grayson's life and was not involved in the pregnancy. During her pregnancy, Alison relocated to Florida for work and to be closer to her family. Grayson was born in Florida, and at about 3 months old, John resurfaced, moved to Florida, and sought to insert himself in Grayson's life. When Grayson was 6 months old, John swabbed his mouth for his own DNA test and filed a petition seeking 50% custody and a name change. In April of 2018, a parenting plan between John and Alison was entered, and in November of that same year, child support was established. Following the custody and child support arrangements being set, John's behavior started becoming erratic and abusive. Alison became extremely concerned for her and Grayson's safety. She noticed Grayson was becoming more upset when he had visitation with John. John would throw Grayson's things at or around Alison and would act inappropriate at almost every custody exchange in front of Grayson. He would send Alison abusive and threatening text messages that would steadily increase over the next year. These are a few examples of the over 200 pages of twisted messages Alison would receive. I do believe you wronged me very badly in a sick and damaging way, and that is why I'm angry. I don't need therapy. It's normal to be angry under these circumstances. Don't you think there's a score to settle? You are not allowed to date other people. It's either me or no one, or I will remove child support and quintuple text volume. The choice is yours, Allie. You deserve your head separated from your body, but I am not the violent type. God will deal with you. There are many more that can't be shared on this platform, but I'm sure you get the picture. According to court records, John was also calling the police on himself, sitting in front of Alison's residence, incessantly honking his horn, causing disruptions at Grayson's preschool to the point intervention was needed, refusing to pay for Grayson's school and activities, creating fake social media accounts to harass Alison. He would somehow obtain credit reports on Alison's family and friends and use the information he obtained to harass them. John seemed to be progressively slipping into madness. Red flags and danger signs were there. Mother's intuition is, I believe, a God-given gift we are given to protect our children. We just know things. My adult son often says, "It's so weird, Mom. Sometimes you call right when I need you. Your timing is something else." That's just a small example, but if you're a mom, you know what I'm talking about. Those pings we get in our stomach, we know something is wrong or our child needs us. It's been proven time and time again. Mother's intuition is not something to blow off or overlook. Allison's case is one of the worst I've seen. She was screaming from the rooftops something was wrong, and no one would listen to her. By May of 2021, John's behavior escalated to the point that Alison did not feel safe handing over Grayson. The week of May 17th, Alison wanted to file an emergency domestic violence petition against John to prevent him from picking up Grayson from school that Wednesday, May 19th. Alison listed many of the abusive behaviors John had been displaying, along with the fact that he had kept Grayson from her before and refused to hand him over. She stated she was scared of John's behavior and that he may harm her son. She did not get a ruling in time, and John was able to pick up Grayson from school. Alison went back to the courthouse that afternoon and received a ruling. Her petition was denied. That night around 10:30 p.m., she received a text from John that said, "Clearly you are attempting to take legal action against me if you're hanging out by the courthouse. What is the status? You should probably tell me now, rather than wait for me to find out. Otherwise, I will be more angry if I don't hear it direct from you now." This was not the first time John alluded to knowing Alison's whereabouts. Alison was concerned about being tracked. Those concerns became a reality when the morning after John took custody of Grayson, she took her car to a local tire shop where they were able to retrieve a hidden GPS tracker. She immediately drove to the police station, where they took possession of the tracker and made a report of the incident. Soon after, she received a text from John advising her that if she was going to file for a restraining order against him, he was going to keep Grayson home from school that day. Alison called Grayson's school immediately and was advised Grayson had not been dropped off by John that morning. She tried, but was unable to speak with Grayson that evening. Alison called Grayson's school again that morning to see if he had been dropped off by John. When the school advised her Grayson was not there, Alison knew something was horribly wrong. She tried calling John over and over with no reply. She went to his condominium complex and tried to get access to his unit, but the staff denied her request. She contacted the Fort Lauderdale Police Department and asked for an emergency welfare check. They knocked on John's door and received no answer, but being that it was one of John's designated visitation days, didn't feel they had enough evidence to warrant forced entry. Alison tried calling her attorney for emergency legal help, but was told her attorney wasn't available. She eventually heard back from her attorney around 3 p.m. that afternoon, and an emergency pickup order, along with a stalking petition, was filed with the court. In the meantime, Alison made several other requests for welfare checks from the police. At approximately 10:30 p.m. that night, police were able to make contact with the owner of the condo John was renting, and he gave the police permission to enter the unit. With the aid of a locksmith, police gained entry and found Grayson and John's bodies on the living room sofa. At some point between May 19th and May 21st, John armed himself with a .45 caliber handgun. He shot Grayson in the left side of his head, then turned the gun on himself. At approximately 10 a.m. the next morning, Alison's attorney would receive an email from the judge stating he was denying the emergency pickup order. The judge stated it wasn't present emergency, since it had to do with the issue of child visitation. Eventually, the amended stalking petition was granted and delivered to Alison after Grayson's death. So everything Alison tried to do legally to protect Grayson was denied or granted after his death. Everything came too late. After the traumatic and horrifying events that led to Grayson's death, Alison did not give up fighting. No one believed me, she said. It was 3 days in the works, and the hoops I had to go through to get the police officer to open the door was insane. The whole time I'm in a panic, just trying to find out if my child is in that apartment or not. They just kept saying, he's with his father. Why would he need an emergency pickup? He's with his caretaker. Little did they know, he was already shot. We seem to always be a little bit behind, Alison stated. Family courts right now are just so archaic. I'm hoping Grayson's Law will at least shed some light on what's going on. She worked with Florida State Representative Michael Greco of Miami Beach, and he filed a bill called Grayson's Law. The proposed law would make it harder for a parent to gain or maintain custody of a child if they have threatened, abused, or stalked the other parent. Current law provides shared custody of a child if no threat or abuse is directed toward the child, regardless of whether threats, abuse, or other dangerous behavior has been committed against a parent. What ended up happening with Allie and the reason she was unable to get an emergency removal of Grayson was essentially that there was never any threat, violence, or anything directed toward the child, Greco said. It was all directed toward her. Threats of violence, threats of murder, stalking, and all these things. There was no nexus between the threats to her and the safety of the child, and that is why the judge did not grant any sort of removal proceedings, emergency custody, termination, or suspension, or anything along those lines. There was no mechanism in the law to do it, and that's the real crux of this bill. Under Grayson's Law, shared custody of a child would be prevented, revoked, or suspended, and a child or children would be removed from the offending parent if a parent or child has reasonable cause to believe he or she is in imminent danger of being a victim of domestic violence. The same would occur in the case of clear and convincing evidence of domestic violence, SA, CA, child abandonment, or child neglect, regardless of whether a cause of action has been brought or is currently pending in the court. A court could also order the change of a parenting plan or time sharing schedule based on evidence a parent has an improper motive for seeking shared parental responsibility. The accused parent would be able to fight the charge in court and have custody sharing reinstated under court-ordered conditions if it is found they pose no significant risk of harm to the child and that time sharing is in the best interest of the child. The bill would add coercive control to Florida's definition of domestic violence in state statutes, defining it as a pattern of threatening, humiliating, or intimidating actions by one family or household member against another family or household member, which actions are used to harm, punish, or frighten the family or household member and make him or her dependent on the other family or household member by isolating, exploiting, or regulating him or her. Such action includes preventing a family or household member from contacting or speaking to their friends or family, controlling their access to money and how they spend it, monitoring their activities, communications, or movements, engaging in conduct meant to dehumanize, degrade, or embarrass them, threatening them or their child with physical harm or death, threatening to publish false information or make false reports to police about them, damaging their property or personal effects, and forcing them to participate in criminal activity. Crucially, the bill would make it so a judge wouldn't need a conviction, just evidence, previously recorded with a court or not, showing a parent committed acts of domestic violence, threatened, or stalked the other parent. Judges are elected and appointed to make these types of tough decisions, and we need to give them the tools and statutory support so they can make these decisions. This whole thing is about protecting children, Grieco said. We know these situations are preventable. We have seen it in other states. And if this bill had been proposed last year, the year before, or the year before that, there's a distinct possibility Grayson would still be alive. Grayson's law was signed by Governor Ron DeSantis in May of 2023 and went into effect July 1st of 2023.
Allie believed that the courts are more concerned about parental rights than a child's safety and their rights. They're treating Grayson as a possession, not a person. In fact, Grayson's father told the judge that he came to rescue his son, when all he did was cause turmoil and conflict from the very instant he heard he was going to be a father. Allie was in an ongoing battle to protect Grayson, despite years of evidence presented to the courts, including threats, degrading text messages, multiple violations of signed agreements, refusal to pay for school and activities, refusal to agree on anything, and then finally, Allie was stalked, cyber-stalked, and harassed to a point she just couldn't take it anymore. She asked a body shop to look to see if there was a tracking device on her car, and there was. She then took the tracker to file a police report and showed the officers the threats that said, "I want to see your head separated from your body, but I am not the violent type. God will take care of you." So Allie buckled her son in the car seat one last time, kissed his cheek, told him she'd see him tomorrow, but tomorrow never came. Grayson's father tracked her car to the courthouse that night and knew it was only time before everyone would finally see what he was capable of. The next day, Grayson was found dead.
It says, Grayson Martin Kessler, you are my angel, my darling, my star, and my love will find you wherever you are. Okay, let's release our butterflies. Woo!
John Stacy's sick and twisted mind led him to use a beautiful, innocent child to punish Alison for not acquiescing to his maniacal demands. Alison's immeasurable love for Grayson allowed her to find strength in her panic and persist until Grayson was found. I cannot even imagine what those last few days must have been like for her, fighting through the red tape of outdated laws, unable to get to her son. Although, as Alison said, she died that day too, she stayed resolute and became a voice for her son. She helped him move mountains to save other children. I have so much respect for her, and my heart aches for her loss. Rest in love, Grayson. You will never be forgotten.
Because I never got to say goodbye, I wonder if you knew just how much I love you. I'm pretty sure you do. I buckled you in for one last time and said goodnight. I'll see you tomorrow. But tomorrow never came, and now I'm filled with sorrow. I said I love you, I'm pulling my string, and slammed the car door and walked inside, praying that the courts would help, but the injunction was denied. I had no idea that would be the last time I laid eyes on you. I hope your last day was filled with joy, even though mine was blue. I fought so hard for all these years to keep you safe and well, but ultimately, you couldn't stay, and now this is our farewell. Because I never got to say goodbye, I never got to tell you how I feel. I was blessed with the most amazing kid, and my heart you certainly did steal. I would have told you I had the best four and a half years of my life, although I wish I had more. More time to spend with you, playing, cuddling, or just going to the store. I would have said how proud I was to be your mom and you my son. You were the only one like you, and your love will carry on. I would have told you that I love to watch you sleep. I would just stare at you in awe and how amazing you are and hold your little feet. Because I never got to say goodbye, I never told you how much I adored our little outings together. Park days, splash pads, Disney, Margaritaville, you name it, we did it in any kind of weather. I'm so glad I got to take you to SeaWorld to see the orcas and other animals we held. Spending precious time with you was worth you getting expelled. For 5 years, we were inseparable, in the womb and out. We made pillow forts, laughed, and played each day we were out and about. You were my best friend, Gray, not just my child. I looked forward to everything we did together, even when you were acting wild. I will never understand why someone could hurt such a beautiful boy, but you have to know, my sweet angel, that you brought me nothing but joy. Because I never got to say goodbye, I died that day too. I am not the same person I was, because my heart is broken in two. Your life ended way too soon. Oh, the places you would have gone. A scientist, a movie star, your mind was above and beyond. The truth is, Grayson, you are too good for this world and the cruelty it brings. You were the gift I just couldn't keep, but I promise our songs I'll still sing. Because I never got to say goodbye, my heart aches for you. My only child, you made me a mom and showed me love is true. My love for you lives inside, that will never die. I long to hold you just one more time because I never got to say goodbye. I'm so sorry this world failed you and now you live up there, flying high above the sky with no pain and no cares. I wish I could go back in time and have kept you home that night. With me is where you did belong. I would have held you tight. Your memories will live on. I promise no one will ever forget the impact you had on me, and I still have no regrets. The only thing I do regret is now that our strings are long and high, I pull them hard every day because I never got to say goodbye. You brought me light, laughter, and unconditional love. I will never be the same without you here because now you live above. I hope your name will mean something to those far and in close range. Grayson Kessler, shout out loud, was here to bring a change. Your death can't be for nothing. You deserved so much more. I promise you, Giggs, this is just the beginning. I will fight for you and win the score. Because I never got to say goodbye, I have to believe it's true that you lived your best life that you possibly could, and now I'll live for you. Your sweet giggle and face have touched so many. You're still making us smile. Your life may have been short, but your legacy lives a long while. Because I never got to say goodbye, my days are sad and blue. I see you in my dreams each night with hopes that you see me too. Because I never got to say goodbye, I don't get to hear you say, Mom, you did the best you could. I just couldn't stay. I know you would have told me that you were happy and loved Gamma and me so much. I know that, Giggs, and that's why it hurts that we can't touch. I long to hear your raspy voice just one more time, singing, laughing, or telling jokes. You even made funny rhymes. You were above the norm, Gigs, so special in every way. Because I never got to say goodbye, I hope you knew what I'd say. I would have said I love you with all that I am and would have begged for you to stay. You made me a better person in each and every way. I would have said, let's stay up late and watch Frozen 2. I would have said, let's cuddle some more just so I can hold you. I would have said, don't be scared, Gigs, just close your eyes and dream
of the happiest place you'd want to be, and I'll meet you there soon for ice cream.